Alright folks, gather round, because things have been heating up again in the green and white half of Glasgow. This is Celtic Central, your place for every pulse and whisper around our beloved hoops. The storylines are swirling, the rumors are flying, and trust me, this week there's no shortage of drama at Paradise. Let's take a trip back to late July, when all the buzz was around one name, Shin Yamada. The lad arrived from Kawasaki Frontale, a fresh face from Japan, with a price tag somewhere near £1.3 million and a lot of expectation resting on his shoulders. The timing couldn't have been sharper. Kyogo Furuhashi, a fan favorite who had lit up Celtic Park for seasons, had just made his £10 million switch to Rennes, leaving a massive gap right in the heart of the attack. Everyone was wondering who'd step up, who'd carry the torch, and it looked like Yamada was the man to do it. The excitement kicked in straight away. Brendan Rodgers, still at the helm back then, wasted no time throwing Yamada into the mix. It was during that third-place playoff in the Como Cup against Al Ahly, and you could sense from the first few touches that this boy had something about him. Quick feet, sharp movement, always looking to make a run in behind. And within 15 minutes, he nearly made the perfect first impression. Found the back of the net, cool as you like, only for the flag to go up. Tight call, offside by a fraction. It didn't count, but the message was clear. Yamada had arrived. And when the game went down to penalties, he didn't blink. Calm as you like, he stepped up for the fifth and decisive spot kick and buried it. Ice in his veins. Celtic took third place, and for a moment, it felt like a new chapter was opening. After the game, Rodgers couldn't hide his approval. He talked about how hard Yamada had worked, how composed he was, his pace, his strength. It sounded like the beginning of a success story. But, as we know all too well, football doesn't always follow the script. Just when supporters were starting to picture Yamada leading the line, something strange happened. Despite his promising start, the Japanese striker was suddenly nowhere to be seen. Rodgers didn't include him in Celtic's Europa League squad after the team's quick exit from the Champions League, and appearances after that became rare. It was baffling, really. You had this fresh, dynamic forward with all the tools, but he was barely making the bench. Fast forward to last weekend, and Yamada finally got another chance to show what he could do. Celtic were away at Tynecastle facing Hearts, and on the hour mark, he came on for Johnny Kenny. But the day went horribly wrong. Celtic were outplayed, lost 3-1, and that turned out to be Rodgers' final game in charge before his resignation the very next day. For Yamada, it must have felt like a step forward and a setback all in one. He got the minutes he'd been waiting for, but the result, the atmosphere, everything around the club felt like it was collapsing. With Rodgers gone, the board acted quickly, bringing in Martin O'Neill as interim manager, a familiar name, a man who knows what Celtic means. That gave fans a bit of hope. Maybe, just maybe, it was Yamada's chance for a clean slate, a fresh look under a new boss. But when the squad list came out for the midweek match against Falkirk, his name wasn't even there. Not on the pitch, not on the bench. Nothing. Unless he'd picked up a knock at Tynecastle, it made no sense. There was simply no clear reason given for his absence. Kenny started again, and young Callum Osamand, just 19, was listed as the backup striker. That move raised eyebrows. The teenager, a summer arrival from Fulham, was handed his debut late on, replacing Sebastian Tenecti, who had already scored earlier in what turned into a 4-0 win. Assistant manager Sean Maloney was clearly involved in flagging up the young prospect, and that debut only added to the mystery surrounding Yamada's position in the squad. Meanwhile, Daisen Maeda, another Japanese talent and crowd favorite, made his return from injury with a short cameo that reminded everyone of his energy and fight. Add to that Kenny's 2 goals in the midweek game, and suddenly, Yamada's path back into the first team looked even steeper. It's starting to feel like the best he can hope for on Sunday is a seat in the stands at Hampton when Celtic face Ibrox opposition in the Premier Sports League Cup semi-final. What's striking here is how quickly things have turned. 3 months ago, there was real excitement about Yamada being the next big thing, the perfect answer to Kyogo's departure. Fans were dreaming of a front line full of pace and precision, another Japanese star leading the line. But now, the mood shifted. Whispers around the club suggest that if things don't change soon, he could be heading for the exit in January. Maybe on a loan deal, maybe permanently. It's a tough situation. For a player who crossed continents to prove himself in Europe, This wasn't the path he imagined. And while all of that unfolds on the pitch, the board's got another major issue to sort out: the next permanent manager. After Rodgers' departure, Celtic are moving quickly behind the scenes. There's talk about the shortlist, and one name that keeps coming up is Nicky Hyen, currently managing Club Brugge in Belgium. Reports say Celtic have already made contact, showing real intent to bring him in. The Belgian press are buzzing about it, hinting that the Scottish champions could tempt Hyen with a lucrative offer and, of course, the lure of Glasgow itself, the passion, the history, the atmosphere that only Celtic Park can provide. Hyen's reputation has grown quickly. His Club Brugge side held Celtic to a draw in the Champions League last season and even managed to beat Rangers twice in the qualifiers this year. He's known for developing young players and playing attacking, fluid football, exactly the kind of energy that Celtic fans crave. But there's a hurdle. Club Brugge don't want to lose him. He signed a new deal in June, meaning Celtic would need to pay significant compensation to get him out. The Belgian reports suggest that Brugge are starting to worry, though. They've seen this story before: a big club with tradition, money, and a passionate fan base coming in for their manager. And when a manager starts talking about new challenges and fresh opportunities, it's usually a sign that something's brewing behind the scenes. For Celtic, the next few weeks are going to be huge. There's the League Cup semi-final to focus on, the league campaign to stabilize after a rocky spell, and now, the managerial hunt shaping everything off the pitch. For players like Yamada, that uncertainty can be both a curse and an opportunity. New managers bring new ideas, new systems, and sometimes second chances. Whether he gets his shot or not will depend on who takes the reins and how much faith they have in him. At the moment, all we can say is that the story of Shin Yamada at Celtic is far from over, but the clock is ticking. The potential is there, the hunger is there, but in football, moments come and go fast. One day you're seen as the next big hope, and the next, you're fighting just to make the squad list. Right, lads and lassies, let's pick things up from where we left off, because this story around Celtic just keeps twisting and turning. The Parkhead offices have been buzzing these last few days, and it's not just about who's starting up front or who's been dropped from the bench. The big question on everyone's lips is simple: who's going to be the next man in charge of the hoops? Ever since Brendan Rodgers stepped down, the club has been quietly but actively sounding out candidates. The board knows this next appointment is massive, not just for the short term, but for the entire direction of the team. They can't afford another transitional spell that leaves the supporters frustrated. What Celtic need now is stability, identity, and someone who understands the weight of that badge. That's why the whispers around Nicky Hyen have caught fire. The 45-year-old Belgian coach has done a remarkable job with Club Brugge, earning respect across Europe for his modern, attacking approach. The kind of football he plays is all about movement, high pressing, and trusting young players, a blend that suits Celtic's DNA down to the ground. And let's be honest, the man's record speaks volumes. His side not only held Celtic to a draw in the Champions League, but also took down Rangers twice during the qualifiers this season. That alone is enough to make the Parkhead faithful take notice. Reports from Belgium say that Celtic have now made direct contact with Hyen's camp. It's early days, but the interest is very real. The tricky part is, of course, getting Club Brugge to play ball. Hyen only signed a new deal in June, and the Belgian side aren't exactly thrilled about letting him go. They're holding out for compensation, which could be hefty. But when a club like Celtic come knocking, with the lure of European football, massive fan support, and one of the most electric atmospheres in world football, it's hard for any manager not to listen. The pull of Glasgow, the pull of paradise, is powerful. The Belgian press are already hinting that Brugge are starting to sweat. They've seen the signs before. When a manager begins to talk about ambition and fresh challenges, it usually means the door's already half open. And in Hyen's case, that might be true. He's ambitious, and Celtic's offer isn't just about money. It's about legacy. Managing Celtic means being part of a story that stretches far beyond football. It's about passion, culture, and community. For someone like Hyen, who's built his reputation on leadership and connection, that could be irresistible. Inside Celtic Park, though, the situation is delicate. The board has to balance their ambition with pragmatism. They've been here before, chasing big names and taking risks that didn't quite pay off. They need a manager who can bring the squad together quickly, work with what's already there, and still have the courage to make bold calls. With the January window approaching, timing is everything. A new boss needs to come in soon enough to shape transfer plans, decide who stays, who goes, and who gets a second chance. And yes, that includes Shin Yamada. For players like Yamada, this managerial search could be a turning point. Under Rodgers, he struggled to find consistent opportunities, but a new manager might see something different. Maybe Hyen, or whoever takes over, could recognize Yamada's pace and energy as vital tools for a fast, attacking Celtic side. Or maybe the new gaffer decides to reshape the front line entirely. Either way, the uncertainty means every player is fighting for their future. No one's safe, not even those who've been regular starters. It's a strange phase for Celtic. You've got that familiar mix of tension and hope. On one hand, the team's still chasing trophies, with a massive semi-final looming at Hampton. On the other, the club's trying to steady itself after the shock of losing its manager mid-season. For fans, it's nerve-wracking. They want to see progress, but they also crave identity. That clear, attacking football that's defined Celtic through the generations. And speaking of the semi-final, that match could end up being a real test of character. Martin O'Neill's temporary stint in charge has steadied the ship for now, but how long can that last? Players are motivated to impress, but everyone knows interim spells don't last forever. Results matter, but so does the long-term vision. If Celtic can get a solid performance, and maybe even lift the League Cup, it could set the tone for a smoother handover to whoever takes charge next. Behind the scenes, scouts and analysts are already preparing reports, lining up options for January. The talk is that Celtic might move for a new striker, especially if Yamada's situation doesn't improve. Kenny's performances have been decent, but the team still lacks that clinical finisher who can make the difference in tight games. Names are being floated around. A few from Scandinavia, one or two from France, but everything hinges on the new manager's input. No one wants to spend money on a player who doesn't fit the next coach's plans. At the same time, there's a sense that Celtic are looking to rediscover their spark, both on and off the pitch. Rodgers' departure left a bit of a void, not just tactically, but emotionally. The players need belief again, the fans need something to hold on to, and the club needs to show it's still ambitious. That's why the pursuit of someone like Hyen feels like a statement. He's young, innovative, and he's shown he can punch above his weight against big clubs. Bringing him to Glasgow would send a message that Celtic aren't just rebuilding, they're evolving. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. In what could be the gossip of the transfer window, whispers from the corridors of English football suggest that Ryan Fraser has quietly severed ties with Southampton, reportedly sealing a move north of the border to Celtic. The winger, whose pace and trickery on the flanks have long made him a fan favorite at St. Mary's, seems set to bring a splash of Premier League experience to Ange Postecoglou's side. Sources close to the player hint that the decision wasn't entirely about money or contract length, but rather the lure of competing for titles and European nights with the Hoops. While Southampton have been coy on the matter, insiders suggest that the deal has been done with surprising speed, leaving supporters and pundits alike raising eyebrows at the suddenness of the move. Fraser, known for his direct runs and ability to deliver dangerous balls from the wing, could be the kind of creative spark Celtic have been quietly craving. Rumors have already started swirling around Parkhead, with fans speculating how he might link up with the likes of Kyogo Furuhashi and Lille Abada. Some even whisper that this signing might indicate a subtle shift in Postecoglou's approach, perhaps adding a touch more width and unpredictability to the Celtic attack. Meanwhile, Southampton supporters are said to be disappointed, yet not entirely shocked. The 29-year-old Scot has had a mixed spell at the South Coast club, alternating between moments of brilliance and frustrating spells on the sidelines. Rumors suggest that a return to his homeland might offer him the stability and platform he needs to rediscover his best form, while giving Celtic a genuine Premier League caliber talent. Despite no official confirmation from either club as of yet, the rumor mill is running hot. Social media has exploded with speculation, memes, and debates about what Fraser's arrival could mean for Celtic's ambitions domestically and in Europe. Could this be the signing that tips the scales in their favor, or is it just another story born of wishful thinking? Only time will tell, But the buzz surrounding Ryan Fraser's supposed leap from Southampton to Celtic is undeniable, and football folk across Scotland and England are keeping a keen eye on how this potential move unfolds. Hello, fan. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.